Atlanta Falcons on a short night. It'll be back here in Charlotte Thursday night for a Thursday night football matchup against the Atlanta Falcons for another divisional game. So I'm going to give you all a chance to start logging in, get your questions queued up. I'm just going to go ahead and touch on some stats from today's game and also talk about some feelings from today's game. Let's go ahead and start with where is my stat? Let's go ahead and start with this. These quarterbacks, how they did today. We had two quarterbacks playing today. We had P.J. Walker, started out the game, went 3 of 10, 9 yards, less than a 1 yard average, 2 interceptions, and a 0 passer rating. A 0 passer rating, 2 interceptions, less than 1 yard average. So we got one person that's logged on so far. At least, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say one person that's logged on, one comment so far, and I'm going to get to it. This game, for me, this Carolina Panthers versus the Cincinnati Bengals game, it was over really, really quickly. If you follow me on Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, I encourage you to go over there, follow us on Twitter. That's where we update you during the game about what's going on. And I saw this coming early on because we absolutely, if you look at it like a boxing match, which I know you've probably heard that analogy before when talking about sports. Cincinnati came out their corner, just bam, uppercut, and we're like staggering. You know, the Carolina Panthers aren't getting any first downs. We're not getting the ball, we're not moving the ball anywhere. We're just not doing anything. And Cincinnati's getting the ball and they're taking it to the house. We needed to do something. We needed to call a timeout. We need to call, in basketball that happens, right? If you come out against a team and they just start pouring it on, you go ahead and you call all your timeouts early because you're like, hold on, let me stop this momentum. Let me try to get things stalled out a little bit, wake my guys up. We should have done something, man. We should have done something because you saw it coming. Should have called some timeouts, should have tried to change some defenses, I don't know exactly what, but just kind of stay in the course for what our game plan is through that first half. When you saw what was coming was absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. But that was P.J. Walker's stats. And then Baker Mayfield came in the second half. Baker Mayfield's stats look a lot better, 14 of 20, 155 yards, 8-yard average, no interceptions, and a great passer rating of 126. So let me put perspective on this. Baker Mayfield came out, started the second half, and he had a pretty good second half. But here's also what happened in that second half. Baker Mayfield started the game, the third quarter, with a very short field thanks to a Blackshear return that was great. And by the way, my 2 cents, Andre Roberts, who we signed this offseason to be our return specialist, it was a interesting situation to begin with because you knew he would not receive snaps in any other capacity other than special teams. So, he's kind of taking up a slot there. He got hurt after not playing much. Andre Roberts should not be back. Just by the fact that if you got Blackshear that's been out here, ever since Blackshear has come, he's been a pretty respectable return man for the Carolina Panthers. A lot younger guy, a lot cheaper guy, a guy that could also possibly get in on the running game as well. So just another 2 cents out there for something else. But getting back to this game, Baker Mayfield had the short field in the second half, and Baker Mayfield was playing against, non-first teamers pretty quickly. I'd say starting to get late into that third quarter, and definitely in the fourth quarter, Cincinnati had their, a mixture of starters and backups out there. And you tell me, when was the last time, I need to go get my water in a second. I don't have a pause button anymore, but you tell me, when was the last time that you were watching an NFL game and before the fourth quarter begins, they take out their star quarterback and put in their backup quarterback? as if to help you out, as if to show like, hey, this is, coach, I know you're interim coach. I know you got a crap of bad things going over there at Carolina. So I'm going to at least pull my star quarterback before the third quarter even ends. That's how bad this game was. I'm sorry, I got to step away for a second. I need to get my water. But that's how bad this game was, and I can't recall ever seeing that. Another person from the media, Steve Reed, who works for the Associated Press. I've been covering the Carolina Panthers since about 2006 is how long I've been a media member covering the Carolina Panthers. Certainly been aware of them being here ever since the inception. Steve Reed has been covering the Carolina Panthers with the media since its inception. Steve says that first half was the worst first half that he has ever seen the Carolina Panthers play. Statistically, it was the worst first half from a points perspective. I don't know if they've given up more yards. I'm not a stats-aholic, and I don't have the, people feed me all these stats to give to you, but they let up the 35 points that the Carolina Panthers surrendered in that first half was the most points that they have ever in team history surrendered in a half. 35. It's like they couldn't stop the bleeding. It was just terrible. But that was Baker Mayfield's stats. I see some comments that are coming. Please continue to leave your comments. I want to get through a few more things, and then we're going to have our normal interactive session that we love to have. Hey, again, I know it's tough, but I'm not giving up on being a liaison between you fans and the players and giving you information and being an outlet for you to talk about this Carolina Panthers team, because a lot of us, even if they're losing, you want something better. You need somebody to talk to. So I'm going to be your saving grace and get you through the week until we play our next game on Thursday. So let's go look at our rushing, which I don't think I have. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Looks like I forgot a stat. Let me see if I can find it really, really quick. There we go. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Our rushing. There we go. Carolina's rushing attack. Deontay Foreman, 7 carries, 23 yards, a 3.3 average. Spencer Brown, activated from the practice squad, 3 carries, 16, 5.3. And then Raheem Blackshear, 5 carries, 2.6 yards. He had a TD, and this was late in the game in which he got some action. Let me show you here. Laviska Shenault Jr., 2 carries, 6 yards. Now, let me ask you all this about Laviska Shenault. I know when he first got action, he was sensational on catching the ball short and running it 100 yards. That's exaggeration, but running pretty far. I think it was about an 80-yarder. It was really long, his touchdowns when he first was getting the balls here in Carolina. I feel like they are trapping this guy into being a one-dimensional player. And I haven't gone back and looked at the tape of him in Jacksonville and all these other places, but I find it hard to believe that Laviska is only effective when you give him the ball 2 yards down, from the line of scrimmage, or give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage and let him run the ball. He's not like a running back. Now, he might have running back traits. He might have some running back-esque to his abilities, but can we try to get him the ball just a little bit more downfield? Shi Smith is a guy that I like but has not been producing much. Can we not try to interchange them some kind of way with getting some opportunities? But nevertheless, Laviska Shenault with 2 carries and 6 yards, and just not a good day for the running game. Not a good day in many phases of the game today. Let's go ahead and go over to the receiving right now. Laviska did have 1 target, didn't have a catch, but again, can Laviska Shenault get a pass attempt that's beyond 2-5 yards down the field? Can we get something 10 yards, maybe even 12 yards, stretch it out? Nevertheless, I'm going to try to find some silver linings in this game. There are just things to point out. So Terrace Marshall Jr. almost led us with targets today. He was tied in targets with 6 with DJ Moore, had a 21-yard as his long, had his first NFL touchdown. Congratulations, Terrace Marshall Jr., on your first NFL touchdown. You're going to be on the show. Okay, so let me plug the show, which I haven't done, all right? Trying to get to 6,000 subscribers. It's an incredibly big thing to ask in the midst of a season like this, but I need you to do so we can continue to grow, continue to make the most of what we can out of this season. It's easier for me to have guys come on the show the bigger we grow. So if you haven't, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and as it helps other Panther fans find out about Carolina vibe here, Charlotte vibe. Other targets, DJ Moore, man, this guy has to be. Now, if you want to know, like, man, why did DJ Moore show so much emotion last week? And he even spoke about himself, like, man, that was, I know I don't show a lot, and then that was just, that moment was just filled so high. I just had to, take off my helmet and go, ah. We might see that again from DJ Moore, because he is a solid wide receiver that just cannot, this season, he's been able to overcome some bad quarterback situations, but this season, it's terrible. This guy has 2 catches on 6 targets. So that's 4 balls he wasn't able to bring in for some reason, probably weren't thrown good enough for him to bring it in. I know there was a play when Baker Mayfield came into the game, and you want to say that there's obviously some reading to go on with what happened on that play. He was going down the field, streaking down the sideline. Baker threw it back shoulder. DJ Moore kept going. So somebody didn't read something properly for that to happen. That was one of his targets that he didn't catch, but that was not even near a catchable ball. Shi Smith, one touch on 2 targets, and then you see some more of the rest of the stats there. Let's head on over to the defense. Defense didn't play well. Like, nobody played well today. Thank goodness Eddie Pinheiro did not miss any extra points, but that first one was scary. That first one was going like straight to the left, stayed just inside of the goalpost for him to make that, and he didn't miss anything. Again, leaving your comments, please continue to leave them. I've just got a few more things that I'm going to go over, and then before I get off, I am going to go over the questions and comments that you guys have out there. But defensively, Shaq Thompson led us with 10 tackles, and you see the rest there: C.J. Henderson, Miles Hartfield, some other guys doing some things out there defensively. But let me do this. I don't often do this, and that is show you the other team's stats. But I got to show you this one, because Cincinnati had 5 touchdowns by Joe Mixon. 5 touchdowns. So the NFL record is 6. So he was 1 shy of that. And if this was any sort of a competitive game, like if we had had just 1 more touchdown maybe through the first half, they would have kept pressing a lot more. Again, they took their starting quarterback out before the end of the 3rd quarter. But Jeff Mixon had 5 total touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, 153 yards with a 7-yard average. And I just want you all to look closely at this screen here. Look closely. Joe Mixon, 7-yard average. I don't know how to say this guy's name, so I'm just going to say Sammy P, 8.5-yard average. Trent Taylor, 6-yard average. Trenton Irwin, 11-yard average. And then We had Joe Burrow messed the whole thing up with a 2.3, and Brandon Allen, I can't see, he had a negative 0.3. But this in itself, the team average, I think this was about a 9-yard average. What did they average? Let me get this right here. I'm sorry. They had a 6.2 yard average running the ball. 6.2 yard average running the ball. That is ridiculous. So pregame, I go over our top 10 rankings. We haven't had any on offense for a while. I don't know if we had any all season. On the defensive side, we didn't have it for a couple games, and then we got back into it, which was, normally defenses are really a good strength of ours. But currently, we are top 10 defense in rushing yards per attempt. I think it was 4.19 was our rushing yards per attempt. That ain't going to be the case next week. By far, that will not be the case next week for the Carolina Panthers. I think I went over everything, right? Passing, receiving, defense. Shouts out again to Terrace Marshall Jr. for his first touchdown defense. And went over the Cincinnati Bengals and their offense. Uh-oh, we got some spam jumping on here. So let me try to get this spam off of here. Give me just a second. Bet you I can quickly get this fixed for us. Come on. Where's my YouTube studio? See if I can't get this spam out of here. Good gracious. I'll just have to come back to it. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Let's see. I'll just do this right here. All right. So let's go ahead and touch on Steve Wilks post-game and then floors you guys, all right? Steve Wilks came on, said that we never gave ourselves a chance. All phases of the games, we never gave ourselves a chance. The bleeding started, and we couldn't stop it. And he's right. They never gave themselves a chance. The bleeding started, and they couldn't stop it. P.J. Walker said that you could just feel that it was flat. You could feel that it wasn't there. And here's what I envision happen, right? This team is going through adversity this season. All right, we're not doing good. We're kind of close in the game. We're not doing good. Blah, 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 blah. All right, we lose our head coach. Then we lose, man, I can see his face and everything, Robbie Anderson. Then we lose Christian McCaffrey. All right, we got a new coach though. It's our interim coach, guy on the defensive side. We like him a lot. Let's rally around this. Anyway, they were able to get some victories, a victory I should say. And then they were playing in Atlanta, extremely close, still fighting, just not giving up, just kind of, using all their intestinal fortitude to just continue to play good. And then they lost. So to me, when they lost to Atlanta like they lost, it was just like, not they want to say the heck with it, but just they had been trying to overcome so much, gave their all for that game, and then they lost that game. And now it's kind of just like, and I don't think they came out, this is just me talking, against Cincinnati, like, man, I don't even care. I feel like they came out saying, okay, let's try. All right, we're going new week, new game, new coach, new city. All right, let's try. And then Cincinnati scores on their first drive. It's like, might be sleeping away from us. Then we go out there on our first drive, 3 and out. And then it's just like, all right, this is too much. Anyway, let me stay on track. But Wilks said they'll start to work on it tonight, and he has to say they have to start working on it tonight because they have their game against the Atlanta Falcons in just 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days. So they're going to be back working tonight. They're going to start rehabbing for guys once they get back here to Charlotte, which I'm assuming probably will be no later than about 7 o'clock. They're going to push some meetings back a little bit, and I doubt they're going to go have a full practice before Thursday night. They're going to go through some mental reps, do some walkthroughs, do a lot of field classroom work, and get back to it. Now, this quarterback situation, Steve Wilks says, I don't know who's going to be my quarterback this week coming up. Do you guys know who's going to be the quarterback? Do you guys know who you want to be the quarterback this week coming up? You know, to some extent, I feel like every quarterback deserves to have a mess-up game, but they deserve to have some grace of having a bad game and still being able to come out and at least start another game. Because I feel like otherwise, you just have so much flip-flop. We're going to try this, like desperation type stuff. Who wants to play under those kinds of conditions, right? I feel like they should go with P.J. Walker just from a consistency standpoint. Because if you have, this is where I look at it. If you have Baker go out there and then he does bad, he throws an interception, he has a bad ball, you're going to be like, oh, here we go again. And I feel like to some extent, you want to control that, oh, here we go again type of deal, which makes a guy just not have the energy to continue to try to overcome such adversity. And then what, you're going to bring Sam back out there? Well, guess what? You've already had a season of Sam stinking it up. So why would you not be like, oh, here we go again with Sam? So at least PJ is a new starter. And he had a bad first half through the interceptions, but I also don't feel like the play calling was the best thing in that first half. I really don't. I mean, you make sure that DJ Moore, I don't know what point in the game that he finally got a target. Yeah, I don't know at what play they finally got a target to DJ Moore, okay? Why not? That's some play calling. And then they were down by 28 points in this first half, down by 28 points. Sense of urgency. Now, I know that pregame, I'm talking about stats. The Cincinnati Bengals were not good against the rush. But guess what? Today, it didn't take you long to say they're going to be good against the rush today. So, yeah, that's what we're going to try, but not today. So let's go for the pass. Let's do something different. We were down 28 points. And then our first play, when we get the ball back, is to try to run the ball up the middle. And it didn't go anywhere. Why would you try to do that? And why would you try to even run a screen? Because we run so many screens. Not to say that you shouldn't run any at all, but I feel like the Carolina Panthers run, I don't know the stats on it, but we run so many screens. Help them out a little bit. Do something different. But nevertheless, quarterback situation, we will know, I'm sure, bright and early tomorrow what that's going to be. But Coach Wilks did not want to tip his hat in that regards for the quarterback situation this week. Dante Jackson was inactive today. To me, that's kind of weird that you placed him inactive and then you knew he wasn't feeling too good, but you just wanted to have him in an emergency situation. That's what Wilks said. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you would have had a spot for somebody else just versus having Dante just stand on the sidelines. But that's what the deal was with Dante. Brian Burns had a little neck injury. He came back to play. Derek Brown had an illness that he actually didn't feel good before the game, said he was going to do his best to give it a try. He went at it, but then, just couldn't make it through the game. So he's dealing with his illness. And, we'll see how these guys continue to play, how they may continue to play this Thursday coming up with that short turnaround. About to get into you guys' questions and answers, but if you want a little bit of a silver lining, I'm not even saying this is a silver lining. This is just information for you. The Atlanta Falcons did lose today, so that's a good thing. And we're not the only team struggling. There's a guy by the name of Aaron Rodgers up in Green Bay who has lost, I forget how many games in a row now, but they are currently 3-6. Losing to the 1-6, now 2-6 Detroit Lions, 9-15. I don't typically go across the league and tell you scoreboard updates, but I figured I would today. All right, man of the people, let's work for you guys. Let's get to some of these comments here. Ali Bodrick, they did not come to play. They didn't come to play. They absolutely did not come to play at all, man. It was over quick. Hey, and if you recall, we had a great defensive end by the name of Charles Johnson, number 95, also known as Randy Watson on Twitter. Him and his son flew to Cincinnati to go to that game today, and I forget at what point in the game it was. It was early second half. He tweeted out, if anybody wants to play touch football with me and my son, shows you kind of where they were in perspective to the stadium in Cincinnati, come on out and play. They walked out of the game and invited any Panther fans that was in Cincinnati to come and play touch football with them today. That's bad. It was terrible. Today was definitely an embarrassment, by far. What's going on, Rodney? Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do sometimes, just shake your head. This game was extremely awful. It's hard to report on it. Chris Johnson, I think you might be trying to do the Charles Barkley, as he said, terrible. This game was just terrible. Just terrible. It was bad. Defense got nuked. Yeah, so if you look at this game and just break it down, Carolina first quarter, 0 points. Cincinnati, 7 points. Okay. They scored at the very beginning of that second quarter. I forget, maybe within that first minute because they were in the scoring drive. They put up 28 points in the second quarter on our defense. 28 points. And it was a pretty balanced attack. I mean, I know the running back Mixon got all the accolades today for being accountable for 5 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 1 receiving, but it was a pretty good mix of run, pass. I think total they had 223 yards passing. They had 241 yards rushing. That's not good enough. It's a bad game. Joe Mixon had over 100 yards in the first quarter. I don't know if it was the first quarter. Definitely it was the first half, but it was bad. Taylor Sheridan, this game was embarrassing. You know, normally I wish I could go live when I go home because, you know, my wife has become more of a football fan since marrying me, and I'm covering football and she's learning more. And, you know, I'll come home sometimes, she's mad about the game. I wish I could go live when I get home tonight to see what she's gonna say about this game today. Like, it's comical in the Jenkins household with the kids and with the wife whenever we lose. And today was my oldest son's birthday, and this is what happens. But nevertheless, it was indeed an embarrassing game. Donald Duck says it's over for Denzel Washington. He lost his chance to be a head coach. You know, Tepper will bring up this game when he's considering the position. So let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to admit that I'm cheering for Steve Wilks to have a fair opportunity. I can't exactly 100% say to be the head coach because I got to continue to see how he makes adjustments, right? But what I do hope that Tepper and that fans understand is, like, interim head coaches don't get to come in and take over a great team. They don't get to come in and take over a good situation. They're put in as basically a Band-Aid to say, help me finish out the season with some competency in my team while I go find the guy that I really want to find. But the current guy that's here, he's just doing too terrible. So today's game was bad, but I also feel like it was, I'm not giving him a pass at all to say, like, give him a pass. But he was up against a lot with his team having that loss against Atlanta. All right, so I don't know at what point I lost my mic there. Hopefully it wasn't too long that I lost my mic. My apologies about that. Let's see here. How long was my mic out, guys? Let me know so I can know how much I need to go back. I'm thinking it might have been out for maybe a minute. I know there's a delay from when I ask and then you guys say. But Taylor, how long was the mic out? Maybe 1 minute? I think I probably caught it pretty quickly. My batteries died on me. But let me just continue to work through this. Seems like every time a team loses a previous week, they redeem themselves and play the Panthers. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Let me continue to go through some of these here. Let's see. Going back to some of the comments here. What happened to our D? Yeah, Baker's stats were a lot better, but I'm not ready to give up on PJ just yet. What about you, Josh Rousey? So no, I'm not stuck on PJ having to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. But I know PJ had a very good support system in his locker room. He had a lot of guys behind him. And I just feel like PJ should still be allowed to start this game Thursday against the Atlanta Falcons. He should have some redemption that he wants. The team should have some redemption. And I really feel like this team can pick themselves up and play well against Atlanta, because that's who put them in this funk. And now it's what, 10 days later, or is it 11? But it's not 2 weeks later. Less than 2 weeks later, they get a chance to go against them again. I feel like if you're a starting quarterback, you should have the chance to have a bad game that you're pulling. It doesn't mean that that's the end of your starting abilities. You should have one more game that you should be able to come back and prove like, yeah, that was just a fluke. I mean, that's what you do with starting quarterbacks. And I know you can say, well, PJ's not a starter. He hasn't been named a starter like Baker has. But yeah, why not? He had 4 games. He did really good. I mean, he had an incredible throw last week. He showed resilience last week. This whole team played bad today. The entire team played bad. The coaching staff played bad. You're not going to bench all those guys. So don't just bench PJ Walker when the defense gave up 35 points in the first half. We're still going to see Shaq Thompson out there. We're still going to see Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, all those guys, Xavier Woods, et cetera, et cetera. He wasn't the only guy that had a bad performance today. And for that reason, I don't think that he should be penalized like, PJ, you're back at the bottom of the list in our quarterback rotation. I don't think it should happen. Appreciate the question, Josh, I'm sorry. Taylor, I believe you're talking about the Panthers. If you lose and you play the Panthers, you win. Taylor's saying that's not true. The Bucks lost to us after a loss. Panthers are not an elite team. They have players and coaches that suck. Yeah, they have some challenges. The Carolina Panthers definitely have some challenges. And more information comes out about what assets that the Panthers were offered once the trade deadline had passed, what they were offered for Brian Burns, what they were offered for DJ Moore. I don't know, man. I like both of those guys a lot, but we were offered a lot for those guys. 3 picks for Brian Burns. A little bit more clarity came out today for that. And then a first-round pick for DJ Moore. I mean, just in the sense of if you have to rebuild things and you get all those picks, it just both. to me, it's not bad. I don't feel like Brian Burns is a once-in-a-generation type player. I feel like he's a great player. I feel like he's an asset. Anyway, I'm not going to go too far down that road, but appreciate the comments there, Taylor. King Robinson, still have hope. That's good to hear. Somebody needs to have hope. I still got a job to do for many months to come here. So it looks like at least I can count on Taylor being here in the future. As they say, Panthers suck, but still love to watch. Hopefully next season we move forward. And then we got some band things here. The stats show how bad the Panthers are. They need to make a lot of changes next season. It's pretty bad. What happened? Our D didn't show up to begin with. I like Baker, but I think we shouldn't give up on PJ yet. I think I already read that one. Sorry about that. Rodney. I agree, Chris. PJ needs another chance. Everybody stunk it up today, not just PJ. Everybody. Everybody. When you have 35 points put up against you and you score 0, you're going to tell me that that only PJ Walker needs to get benched and then he needs to be put far down the bench? Like our running game, non-existent. Our passing game, non-existent. Eddie Pinheiro, to me, almost had a meltdown today. If he had missed that first extra point, who knows what would have happened with him and his career. I mean, we need that guy to make it. And fortunately he did. But yeah, it wasn't just PJ. Kenny P saying our defense is terrible. Appreciate it, Josh. Saying happy birthday to my son. Hope he had a great one. I hope you do as well, Chandler. I wish I had a chance to see you on your birthday today. And then here we go. You guys are yelling at me for the audio being out for a second. It's all good. Let's see. Yes, sir, I agree. I'm not set on PJ either. I think we redeem ourselves. I think PJ should get a start against the Falcons. That's going to be, we're not done yet game. Okay. Yeah, I don't feel like PJ is the answer. He's going to be the super great thing, but I feel like PJ showed a lot of, first game against the Rams, he didn't have an opportunity to do anything. Second game against the Bucs, he did have an opportunity, did well. Next game against the Falcons, had an opportunity, struggled a little bit in the first half, did well in the second half. And then today against the Cincinnati Bengals, he had a bad game. He threw 2 interceptions. It wasn't good, but I also feel like the plays that were being given to him were not the best opportunities for him to succeed as well. And you got to look at it like this, right? I've talked before about PJ putting on the cape and trying to save the day. When you're down, given that I know PJ struggles when he comes in, he tries to save the day. You're down 35 points, 28 points. And then you start making, he's trying to force some things. Not to excuse it and say, it's okay, I know, but I feel like he deserves another chance. All right, and then Taylor, appreciate you. Good job today, Chris. Big fan of yours. Happy birthday to your son. Thank you very much. You guys like to pick on me about the when I do have an issue. I will say that we have gotten a lot better at quickly fixing the issues, and I'll be transparent. We're an independent media. I ask you guys for the support because most people, when they're doing these things, they have a whole team around helping them do live broadcasts. And a lot of times, like today, it's just me setting everything up. So I didn't see that the meter went out immediately, but then when I saw it, I replaced it. So The more that you guys are able to support the channel through your donations, through your super chats, the more I can have redundancy in the setup and have everything continue to work. I'm not doing live broadcasts from the home. I'm doing live broadcasts from out in the field, out in the stadiums, different cities, and it's just a lot different from what you see in a setup when a YouTuber is doing it from home, because you just don't have all those things that you have to go in place for when you're running from home. Just want to put that in perspective, but regardless, I'm still going to continue to try to make this show, make this channel a great place, continue to have players on the show, continue to have guest media on the show, continue to travel, continue to do whatever I need to do to continue to earn that nickname, Man of the People. Everybody that's still watching, I appreciate you doing so. I know it's tough after a loss like today, but hopefully I made it something that keeps those fans that want to have some hope, keeps you having some hope, and if you want to have an outlet, I can be that outlet for you. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. We'll see you back tomorrow and every day that this Carolina Panthers team has a media availability or coaches speaking, players available to keep you up to date on this team. Thank you so much for watching. Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe.